My name is Arvind Kala and I live in Delhi. When going overseas, why does Modi dress like the worst dictator on this earth? I refer to the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, one of the cruelest tyrants in history. Now, Kim Jong-un wears a black coat buttoned up to his neck. Modi wears a black coat buttoned up to his neck. So why should Modi taint himself by association? Kim Jong-un had his own uncle thrown into a cage of hungry dogs, and the dogs tore up the uncle and ate him up. Now, why should Modi dress up like this pathological, maniacal dictator? Now, Modi should shed the coat for another reason, this long black coat, because it's too old-fashioned. Chinese leaders also used to wear this coat, Mao Zedong, Zhou Enlai, and Deng Xiaoping, etc. But Xi Jinping, the current Prime Minister, he switched to a black suit, and Mr. Modi should do the same. And Mr. Modi can emphasize his Indian credentials or Indian patriotism by having a little miniature map of India engraved on a coat. Or if he wants to emphasize his Hindu identity, he can have a miniature Hanuman engraved on his coat. He can do whatever he wants. Why shouldn't he? So that is a way to do it, and and Modi should switch to a black suit because that is the standard dress of everybody. Whether it's Japanese leader, China, Japan, there's Syria, Putin, America, Europe, every person, every leader, every successful businessman wears a black suit, and there's a standard dress: black suit, white shirt, tie, black socks and black shoes, and that is what Modi should do. And when he comes back to India, he can switch to his Indian clothes, no problem. But that is what he must do. And the second thing Mr. Modi should do when he goes overseas is he should stop hugging world leaders. They don't like it. You know, Europeans, the white man, he doesn't like being hugged. Now, a fellow like Donald Trump would like to be hugged by a luscious blonde of Beverly Hills, but he doesn't want to be hugged by a 70-year-old bearded Gujarati. So Mr. Modi should quit hugging world leaders. They don't like it. I can see it from their expressions over the years. Now the point is, if Modi is not to hug them, how is he to greet these people? Here I have a very significant point, though you may accuse me of frivolity. Mr. Modi will have to practice how to shake hands. You see, in India, for the last 20 years, I don't think he has shaken anybody's hand. 8 years he's been Prime Minister, and 12 years before that he was Gujarat Chief Minister. So I don't think he shook anybody's hands, or if he did, it was too seldom. The reason is that India is a land of namaste. So Modi does namaste to people, people do namaste to him. And the standard RSS greeting, of course, is there's a palm put on this like this. I hope you were able to see it. Palm facing down, and that is so Mr. Modi will actually need how to practice on shaking hands. If you don't do something for 20 years, you're not so good at it. But any body language coach can teach you that. You reach whether Macron meets Boris Johnson or Trump meets, and the standard way is both the head walk towards each other, hands extended, and they shake hands, one another's hand warmly, and that's the end. Now another thing Mr. Modi would need a little coaching on is to curb his dazzling grin when he greets world leaders. I mean, it's a little overdone, meaning he's not their pal. They were not school buddies, so they are a little taken aback by his warmth. He needn't show that. Now, another thing is there's one ironical thing about Modi is either he's effusive like that or he looks grim. Now, the average world leader, whether Boris Johnson or Macron or anybody else, they have a smiling face. There's a smiling, they radiate goodwill, sort of. But with Modi, it's like this. Either it's a broad grin and all that welcoming grin and arms extended and, looking for a hug, or he looks grim. Now, any body coach etc., an acting coach can tell Mr. Modi how to wear an expression. I think Modi could benefit from that. No point looking grim when you go overseas, and no point grinning like that, like you're meeting pals, because Boris Johnson is not a friend of Modi. Macron isn't. Biden isn't. So Mr. Modi has to curb his enthusiasm. He's a very effusive character. So when he goes overseas, so maybe he's unable to do that, but he can be coached. It's no big deal. Well, friends, I hope you'll forward it to everybody. And if you know Mr. Modi, please forward it to him also. Let him benefit from my advice. All right, so I'll bid you farewell. See you later, alligator.